Hey guys, it's Hollywood Studios here, and in today's video, I'm finally going to be addressing what is happening to Nitro in 2023. I've heavily hinted at things happening to Nitro throughout the year, as I've heard more and more rumors, and these rumors have become very valid and seem like they have a lot of validity to them, so I wanted to wait until we got close to the end of 2022 to inform you guys what it's looking like will be happening to Nitro. Now, despite all the rumors I've heard and the valid sources I've heard them from, keep in mind that nothing is confirmed yet. Only have it set in your mind that this is happening once the park announces it. Until then, it's just a rumor. However, I'm pretty confident in saying what I'm about to say about Nitro next year. Obviously, Nitro is heavily in need of a repaint. The coasters that needed a repaint really badly have seemed to gotten them, with Batman getting a repaint and Medusa getting a repaint in 2022, as well as Superman Ultimate Flight getting a repaint way back in 2019. Nitro has really been the one that really needs a paint job, and that is finally happening next year. Not necessarily in the way everyone may be expecting it. They're pulling more of a Medusa as opposed to a Batman where they're just repainting it similar colors. Nitro will be having a new color scheme next year. I'll get into that a little more later. And Nitro overall will be having a lot of changes made to it. For starters, Nitro may not be called Nitro next year anymore. From what I've been hearing, it sounds like Nitro's name may be changed to Goliath for the 2023 season. From what I understand, they would be planning to reuse Goliath signage from Six Flags New England, which was the former giant inverted boomerang by Vekoma that they had there. That was themed to Goliath, and it's very likely that the signage from that ride will be coming over to Great Adventure to be used on Nitro, which of course will now be renamed Goliath. Now, as for stuff I don't know for sure, I do hope that they find a way to make Goliath fit into the theming of the area. Nitro is pretty notorious for not having the greatest looking queue or station setup. The queue especially could use some work. I think some landscaping would really go a long way, and just cleaning up that general area to make Nitro's queue look a little nicer. I think that would really help out, as that whole back area of the park, which is technically called the Pine Barrens, but I call it Seaport still. Other than Jersey Devils area, that whole area could definitely use a bit of a lift up, a facelift, and I think that may be happening with Nitro's retheme next year. I think it'd be great to see the ride given a bit of a backstory to fit in with the Pine Barrens area, to make it maybe some kind of mythical creature or something to do with the woods. I think that, combined with a retheme of Congo Rapids with some added theming to that ride, would really complete that back area of the park and give it a definitive theme of Pine Barrens. I just think that Nitro has kind of been very odd in terms of its theme, considering it has no theme. That whole area has really been in need of a facelift, and I think that's probably going to happen next year. At least I hope it will. So, of course, everyone wants to know, what will Nitro look like next year? Well, for starters, it's going to have more than likely green track. As for the shade of green, I'm not sure. What I'm kind of thinking is they're trying to make it similar to the look of Goliath at Six Flags New England. That had a bright green track with blue supports. I do not know the support color. I've heard gray, I've heard blue. Personally, I do think a color scheme like Goliath at New England would look really nice. A bright green track with blue supports. I think, considering that they are going to go with green track, that's probably the best option. Of course, green definitely would not have been my first choice. There's already a ton of green coasters in the park. We got one added this year with Medusa, so now there's Medusa, King Ka, and Green Lantern. And I think retheming and repainting Nitro to be green is a bit of an odd choice, but I think they can definitely make it work with some nice blue supports or just a nice color support. Also, something else that will be happening to Nitro next year is it will be getting a fourth train, a brand new B&M Hyper train. And this will allow them to always run the max amount of trains. That way they can always have one off in storage and being worked on for off-season maintenance, put the new one back on and take another one off, and have a really good rotation going. For those of you who do know and have been to Holiday in the Park, you would know that Nitro typically only runs 2 trains during Holiday in the Park. This is because the 3rd train is off being worked on for the off-season, but with the addition of the 4th train, this will allow there to be 3 trains constantly running even during Holiday in the Park, given that it returns next year. That's everything I know for sure that will be happening to Nitro next year in 2023, but there are some things I personally hope they do go ahead and do with Nitro, because obviously, like I said, there are some things I think could be addressed, made better with Nitro, and these are just a couple of them. Of course, the queue is probably one of the weaker looking queues at Great Adventure. It's kind of stuffed behind a few buildings and in between Batman and a backstage area. And because of the difficult spot it's in, it's definitely going to be tough for them to make it look a little bit nicer. But I do think they could start by really making some nice divisions between the back of the buildings and the backstage area. That way when you are in line for Nitro, you're kind of immersed in the queue. I think some theming and decorations throughout the queue would really go a long way. And I think over by the exit where there's that chain link fence dividing the queue from the exit path, I think it'd be nice if they changed out that fence just to make it look a little bit nicer. Like I said, I really do hope they spruce up the whole area when they retheme Nitro next year. And I think Nitro itself could definitely use a bit of work in terms of making it look good. I think the station could also use a freshen up. I hope they don't go the route that they did with Medusa and just paint it bright green, because honestly, that wouldn't look too good. I think it'd be nice if they went with more like a brown color, or even completely replaced the siding on the building and made it look a little more like Jersey Devil with the wood and the grays. I think it'd be cool if they had it kind of match Jersey Devil to keep that aesthetic going throughout the area. Of course, up in the station, we're going to miss that iconic music, unless they do decide to keep it. I hope they keep the iconic station music. But the station itself, I think, is fine. Maybe just power wash a little bit, but nothing really needs to be done there. I do hope the single rider line remains, although during Holiday in the Park, I have noticed the single rider line has been closed recently, so maybe they're done using it, kind of like what they did with Medusa. But I think Nitro will definitely get what it's been needing to get for a while now next year. They did a pretty good job with Medusa this year, sprucing up a little bit, and Nitro was definitely in more need of help in terms of aesthetics than Bizarro was. So I think Nitro is definitely going to get a nice facelift for 2023, because it really does need it. It's been around the park since 2001, so this is its 22nd year of operation. It definitely is looking a little old, and I think repainting it, retheming it, giving it a nice fresh makeover will really help the ride in terms of longevity. I do still think it's interesting that they're planning to retheme Nitro to Goliath, as Nitro is such an iconic coaster at Great Adventure. If you ask many members of the general public what rides they like at Great Adventure, Nitro will almost always be included in that list. Nitro is very iconic. Like I said, it's been at the park for 22 years, so many people have ridden it. And I do think it's an interesting move to take one of your most popular attractions and change the name and change its appearance. Maybe they're going to try to market it as a new ride, kind of like how they did it with Medusa, but most people are going to realize it's just Nitro repainted. Personally, I'm not huge on the fact that they're going to be renaming it Goliath. Goliath is a very overused name and Nitro is not. So personally, if I could only make one change, I would say keep it as Nitro. But of course, that's just my opinion. They're going to go ahead and do whatever they want to do. But let me know what you guys think about what's happening to Nitro in 2023. Like I said, nothing is confirmed until the park announces it, but the rumors I've heard are very likely to be true, and this is all of them. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.